Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our Fall 2024 Move-In webinar. As more and more people join the webinar, we're going to kind of wait for everyone to get logged on. So before we jump into the content, we'd like to do some introductions for those who are going to be speaking this evening with you. So I'll begin. Some of you may have seen me if you've joined us for our housing contract and room selection webinars, but my name is Whitney Penn. I'm an assistant director here in housing, and I'm here to give you all the good information that you need to know. And then I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves.
Good evening, everyone. Alex Trout. I'm one of the other assistant directors in housing and dining. I'm the person behind the scenes, so answering your text messages, phone calls, and emails, also coordinate the move-in day experience. Looking forward to sharing some information with you tonight. Janine?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Janine LeMay, and I am with the Morrison Family Center for Student Wellbeing. And we do a lot of outreach and education around all things well-being. We're here to support students and help them get the resources they need and get the guidance that they need so that they can be successful when they come to K-State.
Wonderful. So both Alex and Janine will be speaking at some point tonight. I'm going to start us off though, and just so that you kind of have an idea of what we're covering for this evening, here's the webinar overview. So we kind of are going to be talking about this in kind of three buckets of things, which are along the top line there. So we're going to talk about before your move, what are some of the pre-arrival tasks that you need to do or think about doing and what to bring. And then during your move, what are some of the details that you need to know? What are some tips and tricks for making the process as easy and as efficient as possible for you? And then some information for you about furniture and room arrangements for you to consider as you're thinking about that move-in process. And then we'll talk about after your move. So what are things that you need to do after you arrive to make sure that you have a good transition onto campus? Once we talk about those, I will highlight some important dates that you need to know as we go into the end of the summer and the beginning of the fall semester. And then Janine will highlight information about well-being on campus. And then we'll go into a formal question and answer or Q&A session for all of the topics that we've covered throughout the evening. Similarly to our other webinars, if you joined us, even though we have that Q&A at the end of the webinar, we ask that you submit your questions through the Q&A feature if you're joining us on Zoom, or if you're joining us on the Facebook Live video, adding a comment. And our team behind the scenes is going to work diligently to answer those questions throughout the presentation so that you have responses to those in time. And if there are several questions that we see repeating, we may answer some of those live, either as we're talking as presenters or at the end in that Q&A time. As a reminder, this webinar is being recorded and it's going to be posted to our website. So we'll email a link to that recording to everyone who signed up to participate, as well as those who were unable to join. So if for any reason you're not able to join us for the full webinar this evening, you will still be able to go back and look through the information, or if you're just trying to remember something and can't quite remember what we said, you can visit that as well. So we will be sending that your way following the webinar sometime tomorrow. All right, so jumping into content. As I said, we want to talk about the before your move information. So here are the required tasks for you to complete. That's what I'm going to talk about on the next two slides. A critical piece of that is for you to schedule your move-in appointment. In order to do that, you will need to complete the first four steps, so steps 1 through 4 of the move-in checklist before scheduling your appointment. And essentially what that's going to look like, you can see in the screenshot here that there are a number of items for you to be able to complete. The first 4 of those are what you need to complete before the 5th step in this arrival appointment. And so once those steps are complete, if you have already done those will be yellow for you with green check marks. Or if you still need to complete them, once they are done, your screen will look like this for you to be able to move forward and schedule that arrival appointment. The arrival appointment is something that you will self-select, and you'll essentially do that based on what's available as remaining time. So you can either choose something during our early move-in time period, which begins on, or which is on August 11th or 13th. We're not doing any move-ins on August 12th, so if you're moving in early, it'll be the 11th or the 13th, or during our regular move-in time. So that could be August 14th is our large move-in day, or days thereafter. So essentially, you're going to select a time based on what's available at the point in which you can go in and select that appointment time. The QR code on the right-hand side of this screen will take you to that move-in checklist for you to be able to see where you're at or be able to select or change your move-in appointment. I just want to highlight that, again, if you're not seeing a specific time that you're hoping to have available, that's because it's not available. So you're going to need to consider a different time or potentially a different date if you're looking for that specific timeline. Now, everything that I said, if you are part of band or participating in sorority recruitment, your arrival up in the top right corner here in yellow can begin as early as August 10th. A critical part of that is that you are registered with either of those organizations for you to be able to be essentially put into our system to be able to get that earlier move-in time. And if you are just now doing that, it's going to take a little bit of time because it's a manual process on our end to be able to do that. So please have a little bit of patience as that goes through for you to be able to select those that earlier time. All right. Another required arrival task for you once you have completed and scheduled your move-in appointment is to print your move-in arrival parking pass. So if you have already scheduled or you will be scheduling your move-in appointment, that arrival pass will be sent to or has already been sent to your K-State email address. So you can print it off from there. You can also go to the move-in appointment link that had the QR code on the last page to access this pass. And you're going to need to print this pass for each of the vehicles that you're bringing with you to move in. So if you have 3 vehicles that are going to have your things in them, you're going to need to print one for each of your vehicles. And I think an important thing to know is that even if you have a parking permit that you've already purchased or will be purchasing, which I will talk a little bit about on the next slide, this is still something that you need to have with you because this is specific to the move-in process. So it's going to be required that you have this with you when you arrive for your move-in appointment. And even if you have one or more than one vehicle rather with you that you have this parking pass on, please only park one car in the unloading zone at a time. We have limited spaces that are up close to the building and we have a lot of students moving in at a time. So if, for example, you have those 3 cars with you, please park one in the unloading zone, unload that, and then go to your next car, go to your next car until everything is unloaded so there's enough space for everyone to be able to do that. Again, I just want to reiterate that it's required to print your parking pass, and what that will look like is the image on the left-hand side of your screen that'll have a 2024 date, but you'll print that off and display that on your dashboard. So I already touched on ordering a parking permit. So these are optional tasks for you to do if these may pertain to you. So if you're bringing a vehicle with you that's going to stay on campus, that you're going to park on campus with, you're going to want to order a parking permit, and you're going to need to schedule that at least 1 business day before arriving. You or everyone will automatically be considered for an upgrade. So there's nothing that you need to do to be able to be considered for a residential parking permit upgrade. And should you receive an upgrade, you're going to be notified about that around the first day of class, and it'll be sent to your K-State email. The vast majority of first-year students are more than likely not going to be able to get an upgrade. But if you are, again, that's going to be an automatic consideration for you, so nothing additional that you need to do that. If you're bringing a bicycle with you, if you can register, or you will need to register that bicycle on campus. You also may want to consider signing up for direct deposit. So that's an EFT or electronic funds transfer that you set up via the university cashier's office. And another thing you may want to consider is granting something that's called designated access to individuals to access your account. So if you are, as the student, you can grant designated access to your parents, your guardians, or other support systems to be able to access your account, for example, to be able to see your bill or to pay your bill. And then the final thing that you may want to consider is signing up for a payment plan. You can do that through the university cashier's office. So kind of the last 3 bullet points, you may want to, or you will need to go out onto the university website and connect with those different offices to be able to set those up if that's something that you want to consider. All of these arrival tasks are related to move-in or related to housing because, for example, if you're signing up for direct deposit or a payment plan, that relates to your housing and dining services charges that are going to be on your account. All right, so now that we've talked about tasks for you to do, I want to focus on what are things that you want to consider bringing. In the QR code, if you scan this on the right-hand side of your screen here, that will take you to our move-in website, which has a much more extensive list of items that we would suggest that you bring or things for you to consider bringing under a drop-down menu that says what to bring. But these are a few highlights from that list. So in terms of appliances, if you would like to bring a refrigerator that has to be a mini fridge, so less than 5 cubic feet, and we would suggest that you connect with your roommate or roommates if you have them to talk through who may be bringing that if you don't want more than one. The same would be this. It would be the same with a microwave as well. Talk with your roommates about that. For a microwave, it needs to be 1200 watts or less. And for students living in Weefald, a microwave is already provided, so you don't need to bring that with you. You may also want to bring a small multi-purpose cooker. So that's going to be 3.5 quarts or less. When I say that, I'm talking like maybe a crock pot or something like that if you want to bring that. But again, that has to be a small one. And you can also consider bringing an air fryer. But note if you do have an air fryer that those can only be used in the kitchen spaces, not in your room. So that's a little bit of a highlight of appliances. Moving on to laundry and bath. Our machines use high efficiency laundry detergent, so you'll need to purchase that. And because we're talking about laundry, just wanted to remind you that laundry is included in your residence hall room rate. So you don't need to pay per load, have quarters or anything like that to be able to bring with you to be able to do that laundry. If you're living in a suite style room, you may want to consider bringing a shower curtain. So again, coordinate with your roommates or suite mates, depending on what that looks like for you, to talk through who, if anyone wants to bring that shower curtain. And for those living in a traditional private style room, also consider bringing a shower caddy so that you can bring your items from your room into that community bathroom where you're living. For the room items, hopefully most of you have seen this during orientation, but just as a reminder, bring extra long twin sheets because that is the size of all of the mattresses that we have in the halls. And if you would like to have a little bit more to add on to that mattress, you may want to consider bringing a mattress topper. For hanging things, if you are hanging items in a room that has drywall, please bring small tacks for that. If you are living in a room that has brick, please use command strips on that to hang your items. This is an important one so that you can avoid damage to the walls. And when you move out, it's very easy to take all of that stuff down. One final thing as a room item is you may want to consider bringing curtain rods and curtains for rooms that have built-in closets because they don't have closet doors. So you can kind of create a door with those curtains if you want to have that stuff kind of hidden more away. But that's not necessarily something you have to do. It's just maybe something to consider. Now that I've talked about what to bring, here are critical items not to bring with you that not only in your move can you not have with you, but throughout your time on campus. So please do not bring any candles or incense for burning. Those are not allowed in the halls, as well as appliances with open or closed heating elements. So that's going to be things like space heaters, halogen lamps, toasters, those types of things don't bring with you. Again, not good, but because that's a fire hazard. Please also don't bring contact paper. So that's that paper that has the sticky backing to it that people can put in drawers or maybe in closets, on shelves. It causes damage to those, so please do not bring those and put those in your spaces. Similarly, please do not bring LED light strips because there's a sticky backing to them that pulls off the paint on all of the walls. So don't have those with you, don't bring them with you. And then the last thing is during the move process, do not bring your family pets or any pets with you unless you have an approved ESA that is going to be living with you. Of course, you can bring them, or if they're service animals, either living with you or for those who are with you during your move-in process. Of course, those can be with you. But otherwise, please don't bring your pets because they're not going to be able to come into the buildings and we don't want them staying in the cars or in your car during that move-in process. All right, so I'm going to throw this over to Alex.
So the next big communication you will receive from Housing and Dining Services is the move-in day details. If you are a student moving in August 10th or after, you will get a copy of this. If you're going to be a staff member with housing or dining and are maybe moving in as part of your staff responsibilities, you will still receive this email and it'll still come to you right around the early part of August, hopefully before you get here. In that email, you're going to see some parking maps, and those parking maps are going to outline for you where is the unloading zone in front of your hall. So we're going to identify spaces in front of each front door of the residence halls to hopefully make it easy for you to unload your belongings. And we try to turn those spaces over as quickly and as efficiently as possible so the next group of students can go ahead and unload. We try to get you close to the elevators and close to a ramp so it's easy to get into the buildings there. Then after you unload, the directions that you will receive will also include where you can park your car. So this is where those parking, the daily arrival passes are helpful because we will have some folks helping to direct traffic, helping to get you into a space, but then it will allow you to go park in the parking area for move-in down the street a little bit away. So we have plenty of room for the next set of students. So we're going to put you in an unloading zone pretty close to the front door. We're going to ask that only the student, the resident, enters the building. The less people we have in the lobby and the check-in area, the quicker it goes. By the time you enter the front door and come back out again, it'll be about 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. So we have this down pretty well here, especially if you have all the things that you need done ahead of time. We can get you a room key. If you have ordered your ID online and you didn't get a chance to pick it up during orientation, we'll have that for you when you check in. So please know we'll try to make it as quick and as efficient as possible so that you can come in, get checked into your room, get your access figured out to your room. While you're inside, we're going to ask that somebody remains with the vehicle out there. We don't want to have unattended vehicles. So if mom or dad are with you or another family member or a friend, please remain with the vehicle outside so then we have somebody there to help start unloading the vehicle. After the check-in's complete, you can go back outside, meet your friends or family again, and go ahead and start moving items into the building. And that might be one trip for you, it might be several trips, but again, we're going to ask somebody to stay with the vehicle while items are being moved up into the room so we can hopefully help keep traffic flowing at a really easy pace for our students coming in that day. Next slide. So you might wonder what to bring for your move. One of the biggest things I can tell you is that our residence halls have normal sized doorways. If a box fits through a door at your house, it's going to fit through a residence hall door. It is super helpful on move-in day. If you could please make sure that your boxes will fit through a normal sized door. We also recommend bringing your own cart or dolly. So if you have a 2-wheel or a 4-wheel dolly that you are able to stack boxes up on or tubs, and then get elastic wire and get them strapped in there, That's really helpful and really efficient. It'll be really efficient for you to move in and get your things through a doorway really easily. So please, we know that people bring other things to pack stuff in. Other things we recommend are milk crates. A lot of people use those big blue IKEA bags. Those fit through our doorways pretty well, especially if you can hold them up the long way. They'll get through the door. So we know people are bringing fridges and other things like that. Certainly leave those in a box. Most of those will fit through a doorway, no problem. We can put it on a dolly or a cart and help you get it up into the building. As we have said, please only one vehicle in the unloading zone with one person there. I'll also ask you, consider what you need to get the year started. Um, some students will visit home again within about a month of school starting. Maybe go home for a long weekend or go home over a holiday weekend. Consider what you really need to get the year started. It might be a chair to sit in or a futon. You might need some of those bigger items, but a lot of your fall clothing or some other big bulky things, maybe that can wait until after you go home the first time, and bring some of that back. So really on move-in day, we're looking at helping you get in and your stuff and helping you feel comfortable in your room, but consider what maybe can wait a little bit, so you don't have to worry about trying to bring all that into the building on the first day. We're also going to ask you to help us please break down any cardboard you brought. So if you bring something in a box and you need to throw the box away, we will have recycling and trash bins outside the buildings in strategic locations close to every building. But we're going to ask you to help break down the box, so that we can fit as much in those as we possibly can. So please help us by breaking down those things. If you're handy, maybe bring a little knife with you to quickly slice those and get those taken care of. Our staff will be happy to show you where the nearest dumpster is. Next slide. So during your move, we know you're going to be arranging a lot of things in your room. You might be lofting your bed, bunking your bed. We're going to ask you to please keep all your furniture in your room while you're doing this, as just because you have moved your stuff in, frequently your neighbors are trying to come by you in the hallway with their carts and their things and their families trying to get moved in. If you need help with lofting or bunking a bed, our maintenance staff is happy to help. We will have maintenance staff available. We ask you to submit a work order through the resident portal if you need help lofting or de-lofting your bed. So you can do that. Most of the rooms have the stuff in there able to loft or de-loft. Really can be done with a rubber mallet. So if you're handy, some of our staff may be able to show you, or if you have questions about it, certainly submit a work order. Our maintenance staff is happy to help you, but we know many folks feel comfortable using a rubber mallet to just release it, get it set to the right height, and then popping it back into the lock position. So we've seen folks do it in a variety of ways. Every room, though, has the ability to have your bed lofted or bunked, and that those things will automatically be in the room for you. What else is going to be in the room? Your twin XL bed, a desk chair, a 2-drawer dresser, and some kind of closet or wardrobe will be in there as well. All the furniture that's in there must remain in the room. The only exception to that is if you need a ladder to get up onto your loft or to your bunk bed. So we're happy to bring you a ladder if you need one. We're also happy to remove it if you're not going to use it and it's going to take up space in your room. You can see what's available as well as some of our standard measurements by scanning this QR code on the right side of your screen. You'll drop down to the what's provided, click that, and it will give you some more information about what's generally set up in your room. It might be helpful now to start talking with your roommate or roommates. What do you want to do? How do you want to arrange your room? Do you want beds bunked, beds not bunked? Some of you may arrive at similar times. Some of you may arrive at different times. So it's good to have a plan with your roommate now to start considering how do you want everything to go. Please note that there's outlets usually on the sides of the rooms. We've had a lot of questions this year about electrical outlets. There's usually outlets on the sides of the room, and sometimes there's one in front of the windows, just depending on where that HVAC unit is in your room. So usually you can think of about 2 to 4 outlets per side of the room, and usually that's just enough for our students. A lot of students do bring a UL approved, not extension cord, but a power strip. So the power strip, and sometimes those power strips have a longer cord on that for some more flexibility with our students. And unfortunately, if you are here for orientation or dropping by town, we cannot show you your specific room due to our summer operations. We do have camps and conference guests with us, and we're also cleaning all the buildings. So we can show you a tour room, but we cannot show you your exact room. And for that, we're sorry about that. We need to get that turned over for you. Next slide. Okay. So after you move, what's going to happen? You're going to get all settled in. Hopefully on that check-in list that Whitney showed you earlier where you signed up for an appointment, there's a way for you to record the condition of your room. So we'll have you record the condition of your room. We're also going to have you meet our building student staff. That's going to be your RA, who's a peer upper class student who will be there all year to assist you with various things. You'll also meet our front desk staff, who are students working to help run the front desk, give you your packages, answer questions, and check out equipment to you. Each floor will have a floor meeting or two. Usually we'll have one on Wednesday, the 14th, and then again on Sunday. So we'll ask you to attend those to say hello, meet other people living in your community, as well as start talking about what does it mean to live with somebody. That's going to be a big thing this year. Living with somebody else. If you have a roommate or roommates, we'll start guiding you through a roommate agreement process and how to have conversations with your roommates about what does that mean for you to be successful to live together. We know online shopping is big and huge as well. Be sure to update your shipping information on your online ordering account. So if you order something from Amazon or Target or wherever you order something from, if you want it to come to campus, be sure to plug your campus address into there. UPS and FedEx come directly to our buildings, and the US mail comes through campus mail first. Please know that in most cases, we're unable to accept large mail and packages before you move in. If we get things, sometimes it ends up getting returned. So if you're going to move in on Saturday, the desk will be open. Order that item that you need and order that like on Thursday before you come. So maybe when FedEx or UPS comes, they'll drop that on Saturday. If not, they'll drop it on Sunday or Monday when they get there. But we'll ask that you please wait to get packages in mail. I've talked with a lot of folks who are coming from out of state or from a distance. We do have site to store pickup in town. We have a Target and a Walmart. A lot of people have had success with just saying, hey, I'm going to pick these items up there when they get into town. The other thing I recommend is using a UPS or FedEx pickup point location, and those are done throughout town. You can find them at the FedEx and UPS stores, but also at some of our little shops and national brands such as Walgreens or the Candlewood Frame Shop. So you can find them all over town, which may be convenient for you as well as to just have your stuff delivered there, and you can pick it up during their normal business hours. Also, once you move in, maybe a light bulb's burned out or something breaks in your room and we need to help you get that fixed. We're happy to do that. Your RA and your front desk staff can help you submit a maintenance request through the resident portal. So they're going to help you do that. And so you know how to submit that yourself. And this way you can communicate with our building maintenance staff like, yeah, I'm going to be home at this time. Can you stop by? Or, hey, is it okay if we stop by when you're not there? You can communicate with them through that system as well. And it will send you notifications as they're working on your room. Next slide. So communication, this is a big thing for us in housing and dining. As some of you may have noticed, we sent the move-in email to your student's K-State email. Well, that's going to be our main point of contact now. And if you're a parent, you're probably used to receiving communication from your student's high school or the local school district about class schedules, about what is going on at the school, events happening. Right now, we're going to start changing all that communication from you, from mom and dad or parents and family, directly to the student via their K-State email. So residents, if you're here tonight, please start checking your K-State email regularly. A lot of professors will encourage you to check that about once a day at the very minimum. You can get that set up on your cell phone too as well if that's a good feature for you. Families, if you contact our office or other offices on campus, frequently we may not be able to provide you with detailed information unless we have a release of information from your student. And they can do that in various ways with different offices. We always welcome your calls and correspondence and housing and dining. And frequently, if you're asking a question, we're going to try to involve your student in the process or in that communication to help resolve an issue or to help us figure out what is the next best steps your student can be successful. So please be checking your K-State email. The email we're going to send early August about the move-in day details. that's going to come to your the student's K-State email. So please be checking that and watching that for additional information. Students, you may also receive a phone call from our office, or a text message. We've been doing some calling and texting with some of the move-in arrivals. You can see our number down at the bottom of the screen here. That is our move-in hotline. We'll be answering that phone calls and text messages now throughout the move-in process. The best way to get a quick response is to send a text message to that number, or you can use that email. I'm on the back side of that. I try to get back to people within the same business day, or if not, early the next business day. Texting will be much quicker than a phone call in terms of being able to hopefully help you get some initial information or try to resolve your issue. Oh, going back to Whitney to talk about important dates coming up.
So here are the important dates that as we go towards kind of the end of this month and into the beginning of the semester are important things for you to know. And hopefully you saw this during your orientation, or will be if you're joining us on the 19th for your orientation. But your room and board charges are going to be available on your university bill July 15th. So just to expand on what that is your room, of course, is your room rate, but the board is your meal plan charge. So you'll see those all on the same university bill as with your tuition and other fees, and you'll be able to pay those along with those other fees as well. And then early August, this is a screenshot of what we have talked about today in terms of when move-in is happening, and then some of the other things that are happening around this time as well. But those move-in day details that Alex talked about in terms of the next email you'll receive from us will be sent to you in early August. And then this schedule starts on a Saturday, so just so you know, that's kind of a little bit different. But it starts with our very first move-in. So the early move-in for select groups being band and sorority recruitment. And then early move-in, those 2 days that are identified for you to be able to move in early. And then the rest of move-in along with new student orientation, and then events that are happening as we get into that first week of classes and prior to that as well. As we look to September, there were some questions in the chat about meal plans. September 15th is the last day that you have to change your meal plan or to reduce your meal plan if you have the all access to the NE12 meal plan option. At any time, if you have the NE12, you can move up to that all access plan, but September 15th is going to be the last day that you have available to move down if you choose to change your meal plan. So those are some of the critical dates to know. If you haven't, would suggest maybe you take a picture of that calendar just to be able to have that information. But hopefully you got some of this as we went through orientation as well. And before we transition over, I just want to highlight again to follow us, Being Housing and Dining, on social media. So that's Facebook and Instagram at K-State HDS. And tomorrow we're going to be doing a live Q&A on Instagram from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. to answer any follow-up questions after this webinar. If there's something that you're like, I just can't quite remember what the response was, or I thought of another question, I really want to make sure that I ask this, join us on Instagram. We'll be able to answer those questions for you throughout the day tomorrow, as well as we will also have, and we will continue, our Move-In Tip Tuesdays. So look for videos, advice, other information that's going to be shared during those Move-In Tip Tuesdays, both on Facebook and Instagram, to be able to get kind of more insight into the process and some things to be thinking about as you transition on campus. So now we're going to transition into well-being. So we'll let Janine take over.
Right. Thank you, Whitney. Well, we have talked about a lot of different things this evening, and it's so exciting to get ready to meet your new roommate and get involved with campus. But before we leave tonight, we really want to spend some time talking about what's most important, and that's you and how you can be an advocate for yourself and also parents. We know there's a lot of changes happening in your lives as well, and we want you to know that your students are going to be taken care of when they're here at K-State. And what's some of those resources are. So if your student is having some challenges, you could, as a parent, can also help kind of point them in the right direction. So we're going to go through just some of the highlights related to well-being here at K-State, and then we'll answer any questions that you all have. Next slide, please. So at K-State, you probably heard this a lot through your new student orientation. Well-being is really, really important to us. We have spent a lot of time as a campus community talking about it and really aligning our resources so that we can meet students where they're at to help them be successful in their journey towards their degree and just moving into this next phase of their life. And so at K-State, we really talk about well-being as that holistic process of being able to make positive choices around your well-being and that contribute to that success to you as a student. Next slide, please. Here at K-State, we focus on what are called the pillars of well-being, and we have 6 of them that we spend time with and that we really like to make sure students know where resources are across campus. And those include your career well-being, your emotional and financial well-being, your physical well-being, and your social and your spiritual well-being. All of these things play a really important part in your development as you move through your program. And when some of those things get out of balance, for example, maybe the financial aspect of your well-being is kind of concerning you and it's kind of weighing heavily on you, that can impact how you perform in the classroom. And so we have a lot of coaching and counseling opportunities available to students, and we just want to make sure that everyone's aware of those as they move to K-State. Next slide, please. On this next slide, I've highlighted just a few of the key resources in the offices that we have for each of these different areas of well-being. But if you scan that QR code in the lower right-hand corner, you're going to find a complete list of well-being resources that we have across campus. And I would really encourage you just to kind of explore that on your own before you even get to campus. Not that you're going to remember every single detail, but it just kind of helps give you an idea of where you might find some assistance should you need it in different areas related to your well-being when you come to K-State. Next slide, please. In addition to some of those departments and offices that focus on those different pillars of well-being, we also have what's called Cat's Cupboard. This is a food pantry that we have here at K-State. It's actually available to students, faculty, and staff, and it's really aimed at making sure that everyone has what they need here at K-State. We know that food prices have really skyrocketed, and we know that's a challenge for all of us. And so we want to make sure that students have that ability to get the food and the personal items that they need. And so we do have our food pantry here at K-State, the Cat's Cupboard, that's always available to our students. Next slide, please. So just to kind of point out a couple of clinical resources that we have here at K-State, we do spend a lot of time really encouraging students to be proactive in taking care of all aspects of their well-being. But we know that sometimes they may need additional assistance, and maybe that's in the form of clinical assistance, whether it's a doctor at Lafayette Health Center, whether it's a counselor in CAPS, which is our counseling and psychological services. And we just want to make sure that all of our students know where those places are should they need them. So CAPS is where we have all of our clinical counselors and psychologists, and they work to do therapy, consultation. They even have workshops that they provide for students if maybe you just want to learn a little bit more about managing your anxiety around taking a test or things of that nature. They have a lot of great opportunities for students, but our CAPS program is located in Lafayette Health Center, and I know you learned a lot about that at New Student Orientation, but it's in the lower level of Lafayette Health Center. And you can go to CAPS and part of your student fees covers those meetings with the counselors that you may visit with. So it's a really great resource for students, and we just like students to make sure that they know where that's located. In addition to that, next slide, please. In addition to that, Lafine Health Center also offers a lot of different health services that you probably get in your own hometown. We have a full pharmacy, so any of you that have prescriptions that you might need, you can have those transferred to Lafine, and we can take care of you right on campus. So it really makes it convenient for students to get medications and things of that nature. They also have some of those over-the-counter medications that students might need, allergy medications, things of that nature. In addition to that, we have physical therapy that's offered at Lafine Health Center. There's a nutritionist. There's all types of things available to our students. So it's a really great cost-effective way for students to take care of their physical and social and emotional well-being while they're here at K-State. And it is included with your student fees that you pay. So it's important that students are aware of that. We will work with your insurance. Many of you are probably still on your parents' insurance. And so when you upload your information to the portal that's on the Lafine website, you'll be able to enter in all your insurance information, and it will make things go a lot smoother should you get strep throat when you're here at K-State and need some antibiotics. It will make things just a lot easier for you. So I really encourage you to spend a little bit of time exploring the Lafine website. I know you received information about the portal at New Student Orientation, so just make sure that you're uploading all of your information so that all that's ready to go before you get here. Next slide, please. And then this is a really important one. And if you are a student watching right now, grab your phone and scan that QR code because I want all of you to have access to this app before you leave tonight. This is called the TELUS Health Student Support app. And this is a free app that K-State provides for all students here at K-State. And it is a health and well-being app. And there is a ton of great information on this app. There are ways for you to access a virtual fitness trainer. There are ways for you to learn about things that might be challenging for you, such as feelings of anxiety or stress or things of that nature. And what's really neat about this particular app is that you can also explore what's called the chat feature. You can see it right there on the screen. You can either call or click on that chat button, and you can be paired with a trained counselor right then and there. And sometimes that's what's really important for students, especially when you're living in the dorms. Sometimes things don't happen neatly during those 8 to 5 hours. It might be 10, 11 o'clock at night, and maybe you've been feeling not so great about things or struggling with some things, and you'd really like to talk to someone. This is a great opportunity for you to get some support, and you can do it kind of on your own terms and do it privately. And so we just really encourage students to download this app. Again, it is free for all students, and start exploring it just a little bit before you come to K-State. Sometimes people think that this is just for students who need to talk with a counselor. Again, it certainly can serve that purpose, but it's also just a great way to learn about all aspects of your well-being. So I hope that you'll take some time and make sure you download that. And you probably just have to enter in your information, your K-State email. You probably are learning you need that all the time now. But you'll have to enter that, and then you'll have that on your phone, and you can just kind of start exploring that right now before you come to K-State. Next slide, please. Yeah, nope. Yeah. Okay, so I'll turn it back to Whitney. I think we're going to have time for some question and answers.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have remaining questions, go ahead and add them into that Q&A function, and we'll continue to answer questions. If you have any for Janine as well, you can enter those in there. So we'll just use this time to capture any kind of last things that you may be thinking about. I did see a couple of common questions or maybe some confusion, particularly with my section where I talked about not bringing pets with you. So I did want to highlight, we do have a pet policy for the residence halls specifically. So there are some pets that are allowed that beyond cats and dogs, so a cat or a dog, if you're bringing them with you, has to be either an ESA or would be a service animal. but there are other pets that are allowed as well. And so if you visit our, maybe I'll drop the link in the chat. Um, those pets, you need to submit a request to have them, and then that needs to be approved. But if those are approved, you could bring those with you during move-in, and then to stay with you in the halls as well. But again, they would have to be off of that approved list, and you would have to be approved to be able to bring them in. So I will drop that in our overall chat so you have a link to that for everyone.
We're also seeing several questions about how do you find your student's mailing address? That's a great question. If you go to the housing webpage and click on residence halls, and then you'll navigate to the specific hall your student lives in. On the hall's landing page there, you will see the hall front desk phone number, as well as the actual physical address of the hall. And we ask that you use your student's first name and last name. So frequently we get packages that are just addressed like a Joe or a Sarah. That doesn't help us get the package to the right person. So if you can make sure there's a first name and a last name, the hall, as well as their room number, that is super helpful to us to make sure that we're getting the package to the right person. So you can find that again, the housing webpage, click on residence halls, and then navigate to your specific hall, and that will tell you what the physical address is of that building to be able to send mail.
For some reason, it's not allowing me to send the link to that pet policy. So what we will do is when we send the recording tomorrow, we will send a link to that pet policy as well, just because I created a little bit of confusion there. So just to clear that up for everybody.
We do offer some types of moving carts. However, we do suggest you try to bring your own. We do have a very limited number of those. And for efficiency of move-in, if you have a two-wheel dolly or a four-wheel dolly, it's really a good thing to have your own on move-in day. It'll allow you to move your things much quicker than having to wait for a cart. So yes, we do have some, but it's helpful if you bring your own. Somebody asked a question about keys. All of our residence hall keys have a hard or a physical key to get into the room. You'll use your ID to get into the front part of the building or the side door, depending on the time of day, but then you'll use a regular key to get in.
I did see a couple of questions come through about moving in on the 14th or 15th or after the 14th or 15th, and some anxiety or concerns around missing orientation pieces. So the piece of orientation that's happening the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th is called K-State Kickoff. The majority of the activities, or actually, I think the first formal activity doesn't begin until the evening of Thursday, August 15th. So if you're moving in on the 15th, you still have some flexibility there. And there will be plenty of events that are happening throughout that weekend for you to be able to join in on, meet new people, get connected on campus. Even if you arrive on the 15th, 16th, or after that, maybe not late on the 18th, but just to be able to give you an idea of what those are. And I know there are several links to those orientation specific activities that are happening in the Q&A as well.
So we have a great question right now. What are the rules for parents after move-in? That's a great question. And parents, after students move in, get the stuff in the room, we welcome you to stay as long as your student would like you to be there. You know your student the best, but it may be, a good opportunity to have a time to say, see you again soon, or good luck, or send some well wishes. Parents, you can absolutely stay, but what we can't do is give you a key to the room or give you special access to get into your student's room. So as long as your student's there with you and can let you into the room, that's what really is going to be the key. If you come back and visit throughout the school year, we're likely going to ask you to check in as a guest in our residence hall. So you're welcome to visit. We ask you arrange that with your student, though, and their roommates.
Jean, I know one question that came through a couple of times, so maybe just highlighting it for everybody would be, for Cat's Cupboard, does it cost anything? And then also, can donations be made?
Yeah, that's a really great question. You can certainly go to Cat's Cupboard anytime that they're open, and it does not cost a fee. You will have to typically utilize your ID just because they like to keep track of what's going out and things of that nature. And they do accept donations. I honestly can't tell you exactly how they operate with their donations, but you can go to their website and they have all of their information listed there. But it is free for students.
Think we'll maybe hang out for just another minute or so, or maybe less, see if there are any other questions that come through. Um, this is one that has been asked, at least meal plan wise, when things are, at least when the dining centers are going to be available. Alex, do you want to take that
Or
one, or do you want me
I
to?
can take that one if you
Or
need me
yeah, Kathy, go for it.
Thank you,
to.
Kathy.
So when apologies, when students check in to the residence halls, you will automatically be put on, if it's prior to August 14th, so that early arrival time period. When you check in, the system is set up that you'll be automatically put on a meal plan that gives you 3 meals a day. Everyone on early arrival will have 3 meals a day. You'll be able to use it immediately when the dining centers are open. The dining centers are open on that Saturday. They're open that Sunday for breakfast and lunch. They are not open on Sunday evening for dinner throughout the semester. That is just historically something you need to consider throughout that semester. Your fall meal plan, which is a weekly 12 or an all access meal plan, that will begin on Wednesday, August 14th with the start of that new contract.
Alex, do you want to touch on visitors during the year, specifically for parents?
Absolutely. So parents are going to be just like any other visitor during the year. We're going to ask you to check in your visitors at the front desk. And with that being said, usually students can have 2 visitors at any given time. Inside the room, and the RAs in the buildings during the floor meetings will go over the guest policy specifically to that building. So it's a little different in some of our halls, just depending on the size of the rooms and how many people we can accommodate in each room.
Whitney, we have had a good question, and this is something that comes up every year is when does the meal plan reset? So you get 12 meals a week, and when do meal plans reset? Meal plans are going to reset every after dinner on Friday evening. So the purpose or the goal behind that is on Saturday morning when offices are closed or there might be questions, you're going to start with a full meal plan. So throughout the weekend, you'll have that full meal plan. So if you are on a weekly 12, after Friday evening, it will reset. Saturday morning for breakfast, you'll have those 12 meals again that you can reuse for the following week. And so it resets every Saturday morning is how those meal plans work. Sorry, one more question on that meal plan. Question on whether or not you needed to pay cash for those meals during early arrival. The meal plan, part of your early arrival fee, that $55, covers the room and the meal plan. We'll be billing that early arrival fee to your University Cases account. And so if you check in, you'll automatically get those meals added to your ID card. So you do not need to make additional payments. You'll just need your K-State ID card to utilize your meal plan, both during the early move-in period as well as during the academic year.
Well, as we end our time together tonight, thank you all for being here. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. Again, you can contact us at hdsmoves@ksu.edu or via text message 785-313-3404. The information's there on the screen. We're happy to help you. Please know we will respond as quickly as we can during business hours to those requests. 785-313-3404 or hdsmoves@ksu.edu. We are so looking forward to seeing you on campus. Us and all of our campus partners, our well-being partners, as well as everybody else who is on campus. We love the energy that new students bring, and we're so excited for you to be here and to have a great time and a great year at K-State. If we can do anything or answer any more questions, give us a shout. We're happy to help.
And don't forget that we have the live Q&A on Instagram happening tomorrow. So if any of those questions come up, that's another way to get some of those questions or concerns out there. And same thing, if you have any well-being questions, we'll direct those to Janine or someone during that Q&A, and we can make sure to get those answered for you as well. So we'll just hang on for one more question or maybe two more questions to be able to be answered. And then again, you can follow up with us at a later time as well. The instant Q&A is from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. All right. Thank you all so very much. Have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you soon.